Hi, I'm George Pearson. In this Adobe Photoshop video, we'll be taking this white background and adding colorization to it just like that. It's a nice, easy, straightforward process, but if you know the steps, it'll give you complete control over the colorization. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click that like button and, of course, share with your friends. Subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos in the future. And to learn everything about Photoshop, take a look at my complete training courses, and you'll find a link for that up there in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, let's get to it. Let's start this discussion about adding color into the background by just closing out this file. There we go. There's the original picture. We'll be starting with this one. Now we'll be selecting out the background and separating that from the foreground. That allows us to colorize the background. We'll be doing it in a way that gives us complete control in the future on this. I also, of course, because we will be putting in kind of a vignette in here that's right onto the image, because of that I want to protect or save my original. So let's take our background copy, just drag that down to the new layer button right there, and then hide the original. That gives us this as a safety. In case I mess things up, I can always go back to the original untouched image right there on the saved and hidden background layer. Okay, now to do this, we'll be doing a nice selection around here. I'll do a real fast selection just so we can talk about the background colorization, not worry about spending all of my time showing you selections. Okay, let's go ahead and do our selection. I'll just zoom in a little bit here. That's all we need. Now we'll be doing this with the Select and Mask tools up here under Select and Mask. Gives you a whole brand new tool. Now on the left hand side there are several options here. Quick Selection tool, Refine Edge Brush tool, the Brush tool, the Lasso tool. You can move things with the Hand tool and so forth. So it kind of combines the old selection tools with the Refine Edge tool. Again, I'll be doing a real fast one here just for this particular video. So I'll grab the Lasso tool. Let's just make a nice little lasso in fairly close to the image, but not actually touching the edge of the image. Now if you hold the space bar down, it gives you a hand, and you can then move the image around just like that. So let's do it real fast here. Now on a good finish, you'd want to take much more time on your selection and really spend your time there, do a real nice, careful, clean job. But since in this video we're talking about the background and not the selection, I'll do this fairly fast. Okay, just staying kind of close, just like that. Doesn't need to be exact, doesn't need to be super close, but reasonably close is fine. Just make sure you don't go over the image. That's all that really matters here. Okay, little hair piece. I'm going to come just outside of the hair and up around the top. You need to see that hand in there. I'm just holding down the space bar. Let's just finish that off. There it is. Now notice you can see right there, there's the little icon with the lasso tool. See that little plus sign on that? If you hold the Alt key down, that changes to a minus sign. So I can now come in here and actually remove some parts of this selection with that minus tool. Again, hold the Alt key down to do that. This just makes it easier for Photoshop to figure this stuff out. Okay, now we'll use the Refine Edge tool and clean up our edge. That's right there, Refine Edge Brush tool. Just make a nice size. Now this is a 60 pixel size right there. I'm going to bring that down to about half of that, down to about, maybe about 35, 33 is pretty good. And then just begin painting right in along that edge. And then Photoshop goes in and looks at the edge and does a real nice clean job. If you miss a spot, just go over that spot like that and it just takes care of that. Just take your time again, do a nice clean job. Now this is the point that I'd spend a lot more time if I was doing this for an actual finished piece. I'd really be careful on doing this and do a real nice clean job. But since we care about the background coloration in this video and not really these edges, I'm going to do this just real fast. You just paint through, and Photoshop is very good at actually identifying where those edges are. There's even little white spots in there. I can come in here and actually get rid of those white spots as well. Now notice how it goes back. It kind of readjusts everything as I'm doing this. Even spots that I haven't touched. It'll go in and check those as well. There's a pretty amazing new version here on this tool. Again, if you hold the space bar down, you can move your image around. And we'll just go clear around the outside edge and let Photoshop do all the work on giving us that edge for us. That saves a lot of time. Now, if I was doing this again as a nice clean actual finish, I'd probably do most of this selection by hand, and I'd use the pen tool and do a nice pen tool controlled selection. And then around the hair, I use this particular tool. So I do it that way. But it takes a long time to do that. It gives you perfect selections. It just takes time, and since we're talking about the background here and not talking about selections, that's time that we don't need to spend on this particular video. Okay, let's just move up. I have a link for that tutorial on how to use the pen tool to make selections. You'll find that in the description. Okay, just go ahead and finish up around here on this other side. And there we go. There's our basic selection. Now, this isn't the layer yet, and the red coloration behind there, that's the mask coloration that we're using on this. If I scroll up here on the right-hand side, we have different options to choose here: onion skin, marching ants, and I'm using the overlay, which gives you this kind of a pinkish, reddish background color to see where your selections are. So we're just using that one. Okay, I'll scroll down towards the bottom of this, and down here it says Output to, New Layer with Layer Mask. That's the one you want. Choose OK. And that gives us a new layer with transparency in the background. There we are. And that's the layer mask that we just made. That gives us that transparency. Now if I bring in the copy of our original right here, there's the original background. Now the idea is to colorize this layer and then use that to give us that nice background. We can zoom out a bit at this point. Let's just zoom out one touch here, maybe a couple. I think just one. That looks pretty good. And then let's come down to the background copy. Now this is the step where I wanted to make a copy of this background. We'll be doing a vignette on this layer. So we'll be damaging this layer with that vignette. That's why I kept that background clean down there just in case. So for this step, go up to Filter, come down to Lens Correction right there. And so we can get this thing to fit in our record window. There it is. There's the lens correction. On the right hand side, click on Custom and come down here to Vignette, which is right here. Move this to the left and we can darken down those corners. And I'll bring it down almost all the way to the left hand side. That's all we need. Choose OK. There's a nice little vignetting in there. Okay, now we can colorize this layer. We'll do that with an adjustment layer. So go up to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer, and then Hue Saturation. It doesn't matter if you click this button here or not, this checkbox, because this is the bottom layer anyway for us, so I'll just leave that alone. Right down here you see Colorize. Check Colorize, and that colorizes this whole image. At this point, we can now adjust the hue values in here. That's the color of that layer, the saturation values, and the lightness. More to the left, and the background becomes more solid color. More to the right, it gets very, very light. So you can adjust how bright that color is. Now, the one I used in my example, I had the hue set at 24, and I had the saturation set at 80, so it's pretty high. And I had the lightness set at negative 56. There we go. Your numbers in here, that just depends upon what you want for your look. But this is a real nice kind of strong look in here. Again, you can adjust the hue in here, get any color that you want. That's kind of nice too. I like that one as well. But I'll put this back again to that 24 and then close that down. Now the reason why I use the hue saturation and the adjustment layer on this is so you can always come back and change your color. Just click on that icon right there, double click there, brings back up the properties, and we can then make a change. So it's that easy to do. Okay, back to our 24 again and close that down. Now with a stronger background, you notice how kind of washed out our model is. We didn't really see that before in the white background, but she's pretty washed out. So let's go up to our top layer here. This is the background copy 2 with our layer mask. And we'll do an adjustment layer above this. So layer, new adjustment layer, and then just grab the levels control right here. This time, where it says use previous layer to create clipping mask, make sure that's checked and choose OK. Now, take the middle control here, go to the left, she gets lighter, go to the right, she gets more contrasty. Just find a nice value that looks good. She needs a bit more contrast. I think I won't go too far on this. I'm going to put this at 60. Actually 0.60 right there. That's pretty good. You can increase the blacks by pulling the left slider control in a little bit. Gives her a bit more contrast that way. That's pretty good right there. And you can increase the brights if you want by moving this. I don't think that really looks that great, so I'll leave that one alone. Maybe just a touch. Let's just set this at 5.4, just a touch down there. And there we go. So that is how you can easily change the background on a white image. Add color into a white image, including putting in some vignetting in here. And the whole thing is controllable. We can go back at any time now and just change our coloration down here to anything you want very easily. Even change our saturation values, change the lightness values. It's completely controllable at this point. Maybe kind of like that's kind of nice too. Hard to say. There you go. So that's it. That's how to colorize a white background and make it controllable and changeable in the future. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this video, click on the like button below to let others know. You can click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. I'm frequently uploading new training videos. Don't forget to check out my website at howtogurus.com.